Coming back, joining us on the program today is Tom Hartmann from Sorted. It is Money Matters Monday. Good morning, Tom. Welcome.
Kia ora, Atamaria. Great to be with you again, Lizzie.
Tom, so today we're going to talk a little about preparing an emergency fund. That's when, the unexpected happens, car repairs, dentist bills, had one of those earlier in the year. Ouch. And you guys suggest that putting away, as a starting place, you suggest $1,000, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We just call it a starter emergency fund, and it's really step one in our 6 steps to sorting out your money. So this is really the first thing that we advise people do. We don't go, pay off all your debts or anything like that, or look at KiwiSaver or anything like that. We go right to the starter emergency fund because it's just so fundamental. And as you mentioned, it's not hard to think of things that could happen to you that this will come in handy for.
For sure.
Extra trip to the vet, car tires, yeah, all sorts of things can come up. And so, but we wanted to get people started with something that's achievable too. I know $1,000 is a lot of money, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of money for a lot of us, but it is achievable, and it will match if you work backwards from the risk that we're running of those unexpected things happening. It's a good amount, to get started with. And happily, it gets people saving as well, which is that practice of just getting a system to squirrel away money somewhere separate. But also there are other ways to do this too. I mean, Trade Me tells us that there's, thousands of dollars worth of stuff on average in most of our homes that we could just go around and sell a bunch and get to that 1,000 that much quicker. So this has got to be, one of the first things you want to get doing.
Yeah, I reckon my son would be good at that because constantly, even this morning, there's a courier outside the front door of something he sold. Like he bought clothes over the years and lots of them in op shops and things, but he seems to know how to, they're young and hip and cool. They know what's in. And then he sells it on Trade Me. And like you say, that's just, that all adds up, doesn't it, Tom?
Too right, and some people really have a talent for that. Like you say, young people in particular. I think like they should offer a service to just go through people's houses and just sell stuff for them and
Oh
take a
my
cut.
gosh. It's
It's
a
a
great
great
idea.
service to do
Yeah.
because a lot of people just don't get around to it, or they have to get in a completely different mindset in order to, just make decisions on what to sell, what not to sell, and see it through. This is would be a great service.
Yeah. And the other thing you said about saving, I know for a lot of us, life's really expensive at the moment, although there has been some softening in some areas. I've noticed some of the groceries are cheaper again, the fruit and veg and stuff. But saving is a habit, right? Even like if you say, oh, well, I'll put $10 aside a week, that's better than nothing, isn't it, Tom?
Oh, absolutely. And we really need systems in order to get savings. If you think about it, most of the time, our needs in the future are going to rise over time, and so we need to get more prepared for it. So, really, getting a system for setting money aside for the future is really fundamental. And happily, these days, you can set up an automatic payment in most bank apps, and it literally takes five minutes to set it up. And you really want it automated and into a separate account, and then let it build there each time you're paid. You want to really pay yourself first. Each time you're paid before you get, covering all your bills or anything. Just make sure that there's something automatically being squirreled away into a separate account, and emergency savings is a great first thing to work on.
Yeah, I like what you say about pay yourself first because a lot of us don't think of that. We'll think, oh, I've got to pay this bill and I've got to do this, I've got to do that. But you're saying set this up first. This is the first thing.
Yeah, and most people try to save by, they go through the pay period and they try to, set aside anything left over after they've paid everybody else. But what ends up happening is there's not a heck of a lot left over. And
No.
so the best technique to save is paying yourself first. And basically what that means is making a plan on how much you can set aside automatically each time, every time you're paid, funneling into a separate account.
Yeah.
And then once you build your emergency fund, you can work on to other goals. But this is a technique that really has been proven to work, and it's actually why the tax system works, because we're taxed first. Why KiwiSaver works, because those contributions come out when we've set them up automated. So we can do that for ourselves, and we can pay ourselves first so that we move that much closer to our goals and make sure that money is flowing to what's most important to us, and not what's most important to advertisers, for example.
Yeah. So I know we're talking about $1,000 as an emergency fund as a starter place, but what do you guys sort of recommend if, people can do more than that? What's the sort of bottom line of what is a good amount of money to have set aside, if you can?
Yeah. So a fully funded emergency fund is really one that will cover you in case of redundancy. So, for example, if you lose your job and you have to find another, it has to be there for you to be able to cover. We like to say 3 months worth of expenses.
Okay.
So, however much you spend every month on your bills, on keeping food on the table, you want to have 3 months worth of expenses set aside. And it's not hard if you look at your bank statements to figure out how much you're spending on a month, or you can come on sorted.org.nz. We've got a really good budgeting tool, so you can figure out exactly how much is incoming and outgoing every month. But for some people, especially for those who are sole proprietors and own their own business, they might need more than 3 months worth of expenses. They might need up to 6 months worth of expenses, because if the business goes down, it may take them longer in order to find the next thing. So whatever it is for you, you want to figure out how much emergency. Most people are going to need actually about between maybe $10,000-$15,000,
Okay.
and maybe even 20, depending on how you live, put aside. And what ends up happening is that freaks people out. Is how am I going to set aside? How am I going to save that up? But the good news is, if you start with that starter,
$1,000.
start with that $1,000. And then little by little, you can replicate that and get your savings going so that you can build that up.
Yeah, and you might just surprise yourself. Tom, thank you for your time today. As Tom mentioned, the website sorted.org.nz for all your top tips of your money matters. Catch up with you next time, Tom.
Great to be with you. Have a great day.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you can catch all our interviews on Star. See you next time.